Hey guys, Long Haul Larry, and up here at the Uper House in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And we've had some pretty good snow. The snow has been starting to pile up and everything else. And actually, my brother came up for a couple days. He was going to go out west. He was trying to get me to go out west, and I just couldn't do it. I was actually supposed to go out to the ADL shop. The boss wanted me to come out there. I told him what days I could go out there, when I could go out. I had plans with Christmas and New Year's and stuff with the kids and everything. Gave him the dates, and he came back. Oh, the camera just dropped. And he came back and said, yeah, let's just not do this right now. He actually is back out of the country, and I'm kind of dealing with more of the trucking stuff and handling a little bit of that. But my brother they got big amounts of snow out there, and he wanted me to go out there. And I used the excuse that I can't go out because my phone has to be working. I can't go out on some mountain or something and my phone not working in case the driver needs to get a hold of me. But I just don't think I'm ready to go do something like that with my back. I can go out around here and stuff, and I've been doing it here off and on, a few hours here and there and stuff, and then I take her easy and stuff. Going out there, you're going to be snowmobiling all day long. I don't think I could do it yet. But he ended up he backed out of it because the weather was supposed to be really bad and blowing out there. He found some other guys to go with, and then he was going to go, and then the last minute he backed out, heard we were getting a big storm, said, how about I come up there? I said, come on up. And he came up, and the other guys I was going to go with, they went out, and he talked to them. We were on snowmobile for one day, and he talked to them, and they said, how is it? And they said, yeah, we haven't left at all, and we're not going out at all today. Maybe hopefully tomorrow. And then they were leaving the day after that. They said they couldn't even see like 50 feet in front of their face. It was blowing so bad. So the visibility is so bad. So he was glad that he didn't go. But me and my brother went out, and I did take the snowbike back out. And my brother, he got another chance to try it and redeem himself. He didn't do so good on the first time. But I rode around a lot, and we did it a little bit here and there and stuff. And we were back in the woods playing around, and I got into a situation where I was kind of running out of trail, and I had to make a turnaround and stuff. And I went up through the woods, and when I came back through, there was a lot of brush I kind of had to punch through to get out. And I did that, and I got out of there. And then when I stopped, I came up to the front end of it, and I was off of it. And I came up to the front end of it, and up here by the radiator, there was sticks sticking out. And I was like, oh no. And I pulled the sticks out, and it didn't seem like everything was leaking. But then I pulled the sticks out, rode for a little while longer, and I got the really nice temperature gauge on it. I've been watching it, and temperature was fine. Everything was good. And then I put it on the trailer at the end of the day, and I noticed there was a little bit of coolant on the trailer, and I was like, wondering what that's come from. The next morning, I went to go put coolant in, and we were going to go ride for a little bit before my brother went home. And I put coolant in. As soon as I put coolant in, I could see it running out. And I could show you a picture of the radiator. So a stick went right into the radiator and punched a hole in it. So I actually drove one of my brother's sleds for a few hours a day. And then he took off, and I came home, and I called the snowmobile shop and told them that I needed this radiator. There's two radiator halves on this bike, and this is the one I needed. And they can't get it. They can get it. They say it's available, but it's shipping from Japan. And right now, with all the shipping stuff, who knows when that's going to get here. And they can't get an aftermarket one for some reason at the shop. But I came home, went online. I did find an aftermarket one, and I have it ordered. And it's saying that it's supposed to be delivered like Wednesday to next weekend or something. But me and Tracy are thinking about going out tomorrow. She doesn't have to work tomorrow. And we're thinking about getting her out there and getting some time on her and stuff so she could practice carbon again. And I'd like to take the snowmobile. I could take my snowmobile, but I find it's less stress on my back and everything to ride this. So I'd rather not. And so I was trying to see if I can get this working, and I think what I did here, I think it's going to fix it. it may still leak a little bit, but we'll see. Is I actually took some JB Weld and I took out all these little fins that are in between here. What it is the coolant goes in these fins that go up and down. The coolant goes in between those, and then it's got all these like little pieces of aluminum real thin that goes back and forth, and that pulls the heat off of there, and then the air goes through it. Well, this first fin was broken, and that's where the coolant's all leaking. So I dug a bunch of that material out around that fin, and I packed JB Weld. It's that JB stick stuff that you just knead together, and I pushed it all down there, cleaned it all up, and then I pushed it all down there on each side of it, packed it in there, and I think it'll work. I think it'll work. So I'm letting this cure and everything. It's pretty hard, but I'm letting it all cure and everything, and we'll mount it in there and see if it does. But the one thing I did notice is when I pull this apart, I pulled the plastic off, and I have never had a problem, I thought, with snow. I've seen videos of guys on YouTube with snow lights and stuff, and they're constantly, they have some aftermarket like air intake and stuff, and they're constantly messing with it. The bike is starving for air, and they're constantly messing with it and everything and cleaning it, and it's always getting plugged up with snow, and they can't do it. Well, I never thought I had a problem, but I pulled off this fender over here, and this whole air intake assembly inside here was just packed full of snow. And I thought, that's not good, because when it does melt, it's all going to go down into the intake. So I came up with a fix, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So I ran into town, and I talked to the guys at the snowmobile shop about it and asked if they had this material. And a lot of times we call this frog skin. It's a name brand of this stuff. It's like a really fine mesh, and a lot of times you put these over covers, the air intakes off of snowmobiles when you're in deep powder and everything, and this will keep the snow from getting into the intake. And it deflects the snow, keeps it off and everything, and you can just kind of just brush it off, and actually keeps water from coming in there too when the snow melts. And what gave me this idea was the filter assembly that's in that bike is right here. This is the filter. It has a single filter that goes in there, then this one goes over the top of it, like that. And whoever had this before me and set this all up, they also bought this. And it's an outerwear cover. It's not for this, but they bought this and they put this over the top of it, and that will keep the snow from getting down in there. And it did pretty good. But when I pulled it off, I noticed there was a lot of frost in here and a lot of snow. So I know that it's still getting water in there. And the way it was packed, the snow was packed in there, it's going to get water in. So I talked to them about it and said, do you have something like that? And they said, yeah. And they gave me this stuff, and it's a whole sheet of this. And I bought this, and I am rigging it up. And so what it is these are the side covers on the bikes. And this right here, this area right here, snaps into where the air filter goes. And it's all got rubber around it, and it's all sealed and everything. And what it does is it sucks air through here, which this is out in the front, and this is kind of curved like this. Keeps a lot of dirt and everything from getting up in there. But when you're in the powder snow, that powder snow goes right up inside there and just sucks it right into the air intake. So I came up with the idea, why don't we get some of this and cover up the front of that so it keeps the snow from getting packed in there. And so I have done it to the other side. And I already have it. So this one here will go on the left side like this. And what I did is I just cut a piece off, and I just put a bead of CA glue from my model airplane stuff, and put that all the way around the edge and everything, and glued it all on there nice. And that'll be up on there, and that'll keep all the water, snow, and dirt and everything from getting up in there. And all I gotta do is just brush that off. And once in a while or something like that, I'll take my hand and just brush the snow off of there, and that'll keep that intake nice and clean. So now I'm just gonna do the other side, and it's just pretty easy. All I did is I just take this piece here like this. I just cut off a chunk of it, and then I put a bead of CA glue around the edge here, and then I start pushing it down on there and holding it, and then just put CA around the outside, and then after it sets and grabs, then I go around the outside and put a nice bead of CA glue around the outside, and then trim it all up so it's nice and nice. And you'll end up with that. So that's going to help a lot, I think. That's going to solve a lot of problems. So you can see how that snaps in there. See, this is all rubber and everything. And when that snaps all together in there, that seals that all up. I can't get it with one hand here. You gotta line this all up. There we go. See, and that lines it all up and the bolts hold up on there. And then see, that puts the intake back here. And so that's gonna work really well, I think. And if I need to, I can just take my hand and just brush the snow out of there, you know. I think that'll work pretty good. So I'm gonna do the other side, and then I'm gonna put the radiator back in, and I'm gonna put some coolant in it and see if it holds coolant. I'm hoping it does. Well, guys, I think this is gonna hold. Now, I haven't run it yet, but I have this radiator half that's sitting in here. I've had it in here for almost, I would say almost an hour. And me and Tracy, we had some dinner and stuff. I just put it in there, set it in place, and everything all dried out. The epoxy, the JB Weld epoxy stick thing that I put in there, it all dried. It was all nice and dry and hard. I set it in there and I just attached the hose, tightened up the hose clamps, and I put coolant in there, right up to the top here. And I've been watching it, and there's no coolant down on the bottom. That's where it was leaking from. It was leaking down there and then running down. But it's not leaking. So it might actually hold. Would I run this with, like, if it was real hot out or something like this, even mess with? No, I wouldn't. But it's real cold out and everything. So I think I'm going to give it a shot. And especially since I got this temperature gauge in it, I can always keep a track of it and just kind of keep an eye on it, looking down at this. I need to clean this. I don't know what's on there. It's like white stuff. Salt off the road or something. But I can be, when I'm riding, I can kind of glance down and just keep an eye on the temperature and stuff. But I haven't seen any coolant leaking. So until my new radiator half comes in, hey, that's a temporary fix. I don't know. I think we'll give it a try. We'll see how it works out. So I'm going to put it all back together. I got everything coated and everything. So I'm going to put all the air intake back together and all the filters back in. And I think we might give this thing a shot. We'll see. Well, guys, I just got done running this thing. And I run it up to almost 200 degrees. It's back down to 181 right now. You can see she's got steam all going on and everything. But no coolant leak. You can see down here in the bottom of the radiator, there's no coolant in there. There's no coolant down in the bottom of there either. A little drip there is from ice on here. But stuff is melting, but there's no coolant leaking down in the bottom there. So I guess it's gonna hold. So I just ran her up to almost 200, and I'm gonna let her sit here for a bit, cool back down. And then I'm gonna open the cap back up and top it back off, and because it's probably burped it, and probably needs a little more coolant into it. And then I'm gonna go to sleep for the night. And tomorrow, me and Tracy are gonna go out and do a little bit of snowmobiling, and we shall see if this thing holds up. Little JB Weld. Next thing it'll be duct tape. Let's see if it works.